Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? I would like to welcome you to my home and where I eat breakfast sometimes, and to a little segment of our class that I'd like to call Coffee Time with your friend Brad. So I hope that you have poured yourself a ginormous cup of coffee and that you are ready to reflect on Monday's class and our activities. So first of all, I want to say we had a super great class on Monday. I hope you left energized and renewed in your own teaching, and that you went to class on Tuesday or today, or you're working with your students in a way that is energized and empowered. I left class that way, and I certainly hope that you left class that way on Monday. So I would encourage you to think about Lang, right? And to think back, to retrieve some of the things that we talked about, in particular the activities that we use. So this is an instructional strategies class. This is all about how we do things in our class and how we tweak and make small changes that make an impact for our students. And so maybe this week you've tried opening questions, or you're going to consider some quizzes that line up with evaluations later on. No matter what strategy you decide to employ, or even if you're just still kind of thinking about this and you're skeptical about these small changes, I would encourage you to think back and to retrieve through some of the things that we did on Monday night, right? So it's kind of ironic because I'm going to be talking to you today about podcasts and your thoughts about podcasts, and I'm literally doing a podcast right now, right? The interesting thing is these things don't need to be professional. As you can see, I'm literally just getting started with my day. I've not even had my first cup of coffee. I'm having it with you today. Podcasts can also be very polished and very, very edited, very scripted, and I've done those kinds of things before too. I want to supplement our class a little bit with some of this kind of interaction because I feel like it extends the classroom for me personally. And the two articles that I put online offer some competing perspectives, and I wonder what you might think about that. So I'm going to throw some discussion board questions out there, and more than I'm interested in you giving the answer, I'm interested in the quality of the answers that you're going to give. To really think through, like, well, how could I use podcasts, or do I even use them? And if podcasts are something that's new to you, you don't subscribe to any, you don't listen to any throughout your day or throughout your week or commute, maybe this is the semester you try that. And you say, yeah, listen, I'll find one that I really like, and I'll check it out, and let me see how I may be able to use that in my own classroom. There's no question about students today, including you and me, right? We're students in this together, are carrying devices that enable you to share information in a really efficient, a really detailed manner. And there's no doubt that students today are getting information online, and they're carrying with them devices that are not only incredibly smart, but intuitive when it comes to learning. So I would encourage you to think about, within the context of those articles, and I'm going to, again, put some questions out on our discussion board to think more about. So as you think about these questions, here's some things that I want you to consider as you just kind of reflect on the idea of podcasts. So, for example, we talked about lectures this week, right? And I'm going to have some stuff with lectures later. Are podcasts better than lectures? Should you flip your classroom and go all podcasts and stop lecturing, right? Many of us, particularly in the medical field and in the health field, are used to like long lectures, right? And that's how we came into this space, is we sat in large rooms with large lecture halls, and somebody stood at the front and they delivered information. Well, are podcasts better than lectures, or can podcasts replace lectures altogether? What do you think if you created a podcast? Do you think that your students would use it? Do you think they would download it? Do you think they would subscribe to it? What about covering material outside of class? Or what do you think about showing videos in class? Is it a waste of time? Does it enhance the experience? Can you watch a video of the whole class? Should you break this up? What do you think about some of these things? Then I'm wondering about like your comfortability with technology. And I'm wondering about how you feel about using technology such as podcasts, but also maybe other kinds of media that could supplement some of the traditional types of teaching that we do in our classrooms. One of the rules I like to stick to around podcasts is I don't like to go over 5 minutes, and I'm reaching the 5-minute mark right now if you look down. And so these things tend to get a little bit long. And so I like to keep my podcasts fairly short, to the point, and to direct. And I want to use it as a way to extend not only our interaction together so that you see me and that I hopefully know that you're watching this at some point, but also that that we get to extend our learning environment. I think that's particularly important. So I want you to do a couple of things for me this week. I am going to throw some stuff out on Blackboard through an announcement portal, but I wanted you to check me out today, and that we begin this very special, very meta-reflective coffee time with your friend Brad as a segment that might continue out throughout our class, the 8 weeks together. So listen, I hope you're having a great day. I hope, again, that you were inspired when you left class on Monday, and I will see you in 2 weeks, and look for another episode, episode 2, season 1, episode 2 of Coffee Time with Brad next week. Until then, guys, have a great day.